Hello, beautiful souls. I'm Jenny Aiello, and this is With Love, Jenny, a podcast where we meet ourselves right in the heart of our vulnerability and authenticity. In this sacred space where it's just you and I dive into real life, rich with wisdom and opportunities for deep healing. I explore what it means to truly connect to ourselves, to each other, and to something much greater than us all. In each podcast, I like to meet life right where it touches us most, in our tenderness, in our truth, in our struggles and our strength. So wherever you are on your journey, or whatever it is that you're carrying, no matter how light or heavy, just know I'm so grateful that you're here with me today. So take a deep breath, settle in, and let's begin today's episode. Hello, and welcome to another episode of With Love, Jenny. Got a question for you today. Do you struggle with body image? Today, we're going to dive into a vulnerable and sensitive topic of body shaming. And I'm going to share some deep and transparent conversations. Kristen and I are ready to dive into this. And for me, the biggest culprit of body shaming. As we got prepared for this call, the question always comes up, where did this start for me? Where did this come from? And, why do I have, body shaming issues? And honestly, I don't know. But right now, the worst influence over my own view of myself is me. I'm my own worst enemy. And I think you might be surprised to hear who might be in second place, but we're going to kind of look at where do these thoughts and ideas of what we're supposed to look like, or what constitutes acceptable appearance, and what constitutes confidence in how we look and dress and feel. And it's intriguing to me. It's been a conversation that I stay curious about, but only on the fringe. I've never taken a deep dive into the therapeutic part of looking at my own body image and addressing my issues. And trust me, I have some big issues here. So we're going to take a look at this in a very real and prevalent conversation that for me isn't always talked about in a healthy way. And so hopefully today we'll be able to do that. I want to put a warning out. If this topic is triggering to you, please make sure you have a support system in place to work through anything that comes up for you. I know it did for me just in preparing for this episode. So it's good to make sure that you have things in place that just give you the support you need in whatever capacity, because this goes beyond a physical. Our body shaming is an emotional experience, and we are going to dive into some of that. So first, I want to start out, as always, with some stories. This is going to be a story of stories, just little mile markers. When I went back to look at how far back can I remember where I was free to be me, to let my skin show, to let my body be my body. And honestly, I think all I came up with was maybe 3 years old, where I might have even told this story. My mom would start a bath for me and I would get undressed. She would take my clothes off, and then she's making sure the water wasn't too hot. And when she had her back turned, I would run away, because she didn't let me have a long bath with bubbles. She had an efficient bath because she didn't have time for me to take long baths, or my brothers would get into trouble doing something while she wasn't looking. And I would run naked across the street to our neighbor, who always gave me Mr. Bubble baths. And I think, that was probably the last time I ran naked anywhere. And I clearly had no issue with my body when I was 3, running across the street naked. But that's the only memory I have. Every memory after that has a judgment attached to it. So as I grew up, all the way from probably 3 years old on until I got out of junior high, I was tall and lanky. I wasn't super tall, but I was skinny and lanky. And people nicknamed me String Bean a lot of times. And it was kind of a funny thing at the time, but I think I internalized it. If I'm called String Bean, something must be wrong, like it was a label. I was late in blossoming as a teenager. So all through junior high, while others might have been getting more grown-up bodies, mine stayed lanky. I was still String Bean. One of my very dearest and best friends was the same way. So we formed the Itty Bitty Titty Club. And that was for flat-chested girls in middle school that were just awkward and lanky and not doing what everybody else was doing at the time. Well, when I grew up, I really was not taught to focus on beauty or fashion. And I didn't look at fashion trends. I didn't look at beauty. What are people doing with their hair or how to wear makeup? I didn't have that. My mom didn't really teach me how to wear makeup. I hung out with guys. They were my best friends. All the neighborhood guys and I would go out. I was a little bit of a tomboy. So I dressed for comfort. I wore my hair very long and unkept, mostly in braids. The summer between my junior high and high school year, it all began to happen. My body changed. I gained weight. I needed to gain weight, but I really gained some weight. I got kicked out of the Itty Bitty Titty Club, and I decided to finally do something with my hair. So I got a perm. Oh my gosh. I had to wear bandana headscarves for months. It was a terrible experience. I became very self-conscious during that time. And from that point on, weight was an issue. Went to college and gained the freshman 15 my first year. I remember coming home from summer break and my mom had laid a new pair of jeans on my bed. And it was a size that made my eyes kind of pop. Like, why would she buy that size? Like, that's not my size. You can imagine how I felt when those jeans were too small. So I put on what they called a sauna suit, a really heavy plastic material sweatsuit that kept your body heat in while you worked out. So you would sweat a river of body fluids and lose pounds of hydration. I would spend hot summers running up and down mountains and hills wearing that thing, but it never seemed to get me back to that lanky appearance that I now missed. My weight stayed on my mind constantly, but not to the point of successfully managing it. It was either starvation mode or fuck it mode. Never obese, but never thin. I did fad diets and random workout programs, but mostly I just settled in a state of completely dissatisfied about my body for my entire adult life. The only time I actually was okay with it, ironically, was when I was pregnant. And I think that is because I stayed in such awe of how my body could create and hold another human that I didn't care. And maybe I had a reason for having extra weight during that time. I loved my body when I was pregnant, but the harsh critic returned at postpartum. As soon as those babies were born, the harsh critic voice in my head is, you're never going to lose that baby fat. I still carry baby fat. My youngest is almost 30. So yeah, it was lifelong after that. I remember a particularly difficult time in my life. It was the time leading up to my divorce. And I thought I was so overweight and carrying so much of that leftover baby fat that was actually part of the problem. And a few years ago, I was watching home movies that I had converted to digital movies. And this one movie in particular was me putting a clown face on my daughter for a birthday party. And I was painting her face. She was up on the bathroom counter and I'm standing there in my high-waisted whitewashed jeans with a white tucked in shirt. It's the look I still wish I could wear. And I think I can't, I should say. And I'm looking at it, remembering in my mind, at that time, I thought I was obese. And I remember how I felt about myself. And you guys, I'm not kidding when I say this. I was not overweight at all. And looking at this video in hindsight was actually thin. And it was really eye-opening for me because I could actually see my weight of what it actually was. But remembering that moment and that time in my life and thinking I needed to lose 75 pounds. Well, fast forward in the mid to late 90s, after I'd had 5 children, I was presented with this award, and it was at a big conference, and it was a big deal. I was supposed to wear a fancy dress and had to be up on stage, and I stressed myself out so much finding what to wear. And I remember being relieved just to have made the decision, and I didn't allow myself to keep second guessing because I literally was running out of time. But I also knew that I would have to stand on a stage for everybody to look at, and that they would see every flaw I had. And I just dreaded the whole thing to the point I labeled that experience as traumatic. And yes, pictures marked that experience. At least a decade after that, I came across a photo that was taken at that award ceremony. I was elegant. My arms were exposed in a sleeveless gown, and they looked beautiful. I looked beautiful in those photos, but at the time, all I could see were every single flaw that I had. I could literally spend hours telling you stories of my own body shaming voice. It isn't anyone else who's saying these things to me. It's me. I'm the number one body shamer in my life, and I am brutal. I'd never say these things to another human being ever. Dressing rooms just turned up the volume on those inner voices. Just a few weeks ago, I found myself trying on clothes for an upcoming trip that we were taking. And I wanted to feel good on this trip, but I also wanted to look good because I knew we'd be taking a lot of selfies and vacation photos. And every time I came out of that dressing room, the salesperson and my niece would light up with joy about what I was wearing. And I would literally shrink 1,000 times over, apologizing for the way my legs looked or my arms looked or the waistline, asking, if too much of me was showing. And I could see on their faces that they would feel sad that I just said that. I know I have a problem, you all. I know it, but you have to admit, it's hard for some of us. And I had to say to them, you don't understand. And my niece is like, Aunt Jenny, you really have a problem. And it's embarrassing. And it's, to me, so vulnerable. It goes to a place that brings tears to my eyes just to talk about it. If you put a camera in front of me, I'm mortified to be seen. I did a course last summer on being seen and went into the shadow parts of why it's scary to be seen. And what I took away is that rejection hurts. And if you see me, you might reject me. And that was being seen as in a visibility place. But there's something about being seen at a luncheon where you're sitting with friends and worried that they're going to see, flapping arms. Put me in front of 2,000 people and no cameras, I light up because I can focus on them and forget about me. But the camera is a feedback loop, and it opens up all those thoughts and voices that criticize and shame me relentlessly. So why do we do this to ourselves? Why do we see ourselves in the worst light? Why do we judge ourselves so harshly? Where did all this start? And that's what Kristen and I want to talk about. I also want you to be thinking about as we enter into these discussions, and Kristen's going to share her version of this, but have you ever had thoughts like this, well, my life would be so much better if I looked better? Or I'll never look as good as so-and-so. Or my blank is so ugly. My fill in the blank are so ugly. I'm so fat. That scale or size just can't be right. I look disgusting. No one could ever love me. And these are all some of the things that go through my mind on a daily basis. And it turns out, I did a little research. It turns out I'm not alone. I kind of did think this was a Jenny problem, but apparently we're on a podcast because I found out statistically over 80% of American women are dissatisfied with their appearance. So, it's been going on for a long time. Kristen and I explored that. And we're going to talk about where did all this start? And where are we setting the unrealistic expectations? And why are we in such judgment about ourselves or others? So we really want to look at this, and we want to dive into the way that it impacts. So if you listened a couple episodes ago, we talked about money, and we talked about how you do money is how you do everything. And I kind of feel like how we relate to the body that we live in, how we relate to our body impacts everything. Every area of our life is impacted by our relationship to our body. And I wasn't sure about that. I had to run a test on it. It impacts personal relationships. It impacts romantic relationships. It can impact our work and our success, or, do we dress different for work than we do for a Saturday morning? Of course we do. But our workplace is all about having confidence, right? It's like that's part of what makes us successful. And so we dress for success. There's books written on it. And if you don't feel attractive and confident, you shrink, you hide, you don't put your best foot forward. Self-care, health and wellness, I can tell you that's so deeply impacted because I didn't want to go to the gym because I didn't want to go to the gym with long sleeves and long pants and mittens on to work out. But I do have a distinct memory of feeling like I needed to apologize to the person next to me on the treadmill that she would have to see me working out. I had those thoughts. I'm being very honest. Finances. How much do I spend on products, hair products, makeup, skincare, self-tanning, all the things that I think are going to help ease the pain of how I look. Our spiritual life, it's an attack on the spirit to not love ourselves fully. And home, our self-esteem, the home that houses us, and are we home in our body, and how we take care of both of those. It's crazy how many different areas of my life, when I started looking at that, is impacted by my body shaming. So Kristen, let's get you in here. Tell us your thoughts. What's your experience of what it's like to live in your body?
I've been trying to think of where to start. I've always been a tiny person. It runs on my dad's side of the family. And I kind of grew up in middle school and high school with the late 80s, early 90s. Diet fads were huge. Jenny and I were kind of talking about marketing and, Teen Magazine and Teen Vogue and Cosmo Girl. I was all up and looking at these beautiful girls my age on the cover. And that's what we had to live up to. It's kind of like that's what we were being told of. This is how you're supposed to look in high school. Wow. I started taking aerobics in high school because I didn't want to take any other kind of gym class. And that really set me off with my addictive personality of working out. I would not only do aerobics in school, I would wake up at 6 a.m. and do aerobics to make sure that I maintained a certain look. I would count my calories. My mom would do fad dieting. I would watch her go up and down with her weight. And I thought, I cannot be like that. And my dad used to tease me growing up saying, you must have a tapeworm in there because you can eat so much and stay so small. But then as puberty hit, as Jenny talked about, things start to change. And I felt like I had a persona to live up to, even at that age. Everyone thinks of Kristen as tiny. I have to stay tiny. But I also realized, I think, on a deeper level, that this is one thing in my life that I can control. is my weight.
Mm-hmm.
And I am very controlling about my weight even today. Even if I gain 2 pounds, I'm very distraught. And it's horrible to admit, and people might even be angry looking at me when I say that, but I really, really struggle with it.
I get it.
And I'm laughing, I think, because I'm nervous, but
oh, it's hard to talk about this. But Kristen, I want to jump in and comment, not to interrupt you, but I know that I hear people say to me sometimes, like, what are you talking about? You look beautiful. And I can't feel that, And so when you say, I feel awful because I gained 2 pounds, I could say, oh, if only that was my problem. I could compare it, but I don't. I respect how that pains you, the same as my issues pain me. It doesn't matter if it's, 100 pounds or 2 pounds, it hits that same emotional feeling.
Right. It's like I can fully accept me when I'm tiny.
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
It's the strangest thing. And Jenny knows, like, I am very strict with what I eat. I can go to a party and I watch all these people splurge and I won't touch one thing because I know the amount of food I can eat to keep me at this weight. Yeah. And it's not like I eat a very small amount. Like I eat, but I know that if I see a cookie and I grab it and it's not what I normally eat, it will affect my weight. I can't go a day without walking 2 miles. If I do, it'll freak me out.
Wow. And I'm very controlling, but this is an area that I don't control like that. I don't use that to my advantage to just say, hey, if I stay in these rules, I'll always feel good about my body. And the truth is, you just said something, but it made me think, well, what would make me feel good about, like, what is it that I have to look like to like it? Because I don't think it exists. I don't think I don't know what my ideal weight would be. I don't know what my ideal body shape would be, or I don't know. I don't know.
It's interesting too, because I was very addicted to the way that I looked all through high school. And I didn't drink in high school. And then I started drinking after high school. And when you drink, you eat. And even the calories in the drinking. And I did gain some weight, but also I was still very addicted to aerobics. Like I had that ingrained in me and I couldn't let it go. So, this theme kept going. And then when I got pregnant, I had a very hard time gaining weight. I was mortified. I had never felt that big before. I couldn't even imagine buying bigger pants. I've never, ever been above a size 6, which I'm lower than that now. But the gaining weight part I was mortified. I didn't want people to look at me like that. And then once I wasn't pregnant and I lost the weight again, and then I found out I was pregnant again, I'm like, dang it. I got to go through that again. It took me forever to get back to the size that I feel comfortable at. And then it's weird. As like you get older with kids, you gain a little weight and you start to kind of like, okay, well, this is where I'm at. I'm never going to be high school tiny again, whatever. But then I had my brain bleed and I lost a lot of weight. And I was like, I really like this weight. I want to be back here. And I made sure I stayed that way. And I do, it does bring me happiness, but it also is very, I don't know what the word is.
Confining?
Confining, yeah. But it makes me happy in a weird way.
You're happy when you're there, but you don't know how to be happy when you're not.
Right.
And I'm the opposite. Like, I don't even know if I'd ever be happy. I don't know what that looks like to be happy with my body. And it's not where I want it to be. So I stay in a state of unhappy with my body. And for you, it's like, I know where that sweet spot is for me, but I don't know how to be okay outside of that.
Yeah. Like I can put on a pair of shorts and feel totally like no one's going to look at me weird. Not that they are looking at me weird. But in my mind, I think they would look at me weird.
Right. And that's the judgment piece. And, going into some of that would take a whole nother episode about how do we look at other women who are imperfect.
Yeah.
Is it with judgment? Like, oh, well, that's why I don't show my skin, like But I actually look to other women with admiration, even if I remember someone walking down the street with blue hair, and there's nothing wrong with that. And she was so confident and actually so beautiful. And she had literally bright blue hair that obviously wasn't natural. And I remember saying, like, I could never do that. How brave she is. Now, she might not have needed to be brave to do that. She might not have cared what I thought or anybody else thought. She felt good. She, like, you could tell she loved how it looked. And I thought, if I was mortified to have a perm in high school and made my hair different, I can't imagine having the confidence, to do something bold that drew attention in, that made people take a second glance, at me and go, oh, wow, look at your hair. I have admiration for people who can do what they want to do, dress the way they want, wear the tattoos, do whatever to their body, and be bold enough to let the world see it. And I'm over here hiding in my imperfections and feeling shame and not drawing attention. Like, I don't do anything that would draw attention to my body that I live in because of all the imperfections that I see. It's an emotional journey. It's a mental mindset. It is a real thing. I was doing this research and I want to find, if I can, what it said, that they did some studies, and it's actually a visual perception. So they asked women to give the measurement of what they thought their waistline was without seeing it with accuracy. And they would exaggerate what they thought if you just measured from side to side, not around, like how far apart is it from side to side? And they always over exaggerated it, but with accuracy could look at a box and tell you that's a 24-inch box. And so they could see the size of a box, but they couldn't see the size of their waist. And they purposefully found people who were similar in this study. So the same measurement of the box was the same measurement of their waistline from left to right. But in the mirror, they saw that as way bigger. And that is my experience. It's like when I'm looking at me live, I see myself as so much bigger. When I look at my pictures in the past, a picture of me, I'm like, oh, I wasn't that. But in the moment, it's how I'm looking in the mirror, I actually see something. And that's beginning of an eating disorder problem, right? Because that's how people with eating disorders see themselves, not what they actually are, and have trouble trying to control what they see. And it's hard. You can't control what you see if what you see isn't accurate. And so it becomes a mental health issue. It becomes an emotional health and safety issue to be comfortable living in your own skin, living true to your body. And Kristen and I were talking about this preparing for our podcast. When you look at pictures from the Renaissance paintings, and depictions of women, and frankly, a lot of the Renaissance paintings, they're just there naked for you to see all. And women weren't perfect in the setting of what we have defined in Western culture as perfect bodies. They were round, they had big thighs and hips, and they'd have a belly, they'd be buxom. They weren't models, but they were seen as works of art of beautiful, beautiful women. And I just think sometimes, like, why is it so hard for some of us to just embrace what we have and just be where we are and step into that with full acceptance and self-love and self-care, and still not feel like you're being complacent and giving up on taking good care of yourself. Like, I want to take good care. Yeah. You don't want to get so complacent that you just let yourself fall apart and become unhealthy, but you do practice acceptance. And I think that as you begin to do self-care from love, that you really do change the body, and it'll take care of itself if you take care of it in a loving way and not neglect it. That's a way that I also learned to just neglect myself. I grew up kind of neglecting, didn't know I was supposed to do those things. I just sort of was free and easy back then. And I carried it into adulthood, but with judgment after my body changed, and it just never was the same. It was never a place where I could feel good.
I remember when the big fat-free fad came out with the snack wells. And I remember I thought I was eating healthy when I don't know if they were fat-free or low-fat Hostess cupcakes. And it really took a huge mind shift when they started coming out and saying avocado, olive oil, peanut butter, it's healthy fat, it's okay to eat it. And I was like, what? Like it took me a while to wrap my brain around that. And now I do embrace that. But it's like all this marketing.
Yes.
So much marketing. If you think about, I watched this show on the Hallmark Channel. It's probably in its 10th season. It's called When Calls the Heart. And I love it, but it's all about the progression of living Little House on the Prairie to almost like commercialism. And that's not the focus of the show, but you just kind of see that happening. Like now they have dress shops, and they didn't have this before.
Right.
And you see the marketing slowly slipping in of what women should look like, because now they can get the word out.
Right.
And what it has progressed into. It's almost like if they could reverse that and just teach people the importance of eating healthy instead of the importance of what you look like that would be a huge shift.
Yes. And in some arenas, I think that we're doing that, but it's with the emphasis that you're not okay unless you do, and it's that subtle, something's wrong, you must do this message. At least that's how it goes through my filter.
Yeah, I saw for this Instagram ad, there's these things now, and I'm not a beauty person. I don't wear a lot of makeup. I don't focus on that. But these things, these gel pads that you can put under your eyes to help reduce the puffiness. And I fell for it. And I think I only used it 3 or 4 times, but it's they're pushing this stuff on you when I'm just aging.
Right. And aging gracefully. And first I went through puberty, and I, had to get used to my new body in high school and learning how to manage weight through college, and then going through pregnancy and, baby fat and pregnancy and baby fat all through my 20s and into my 30s. I dealt with that. And then, always struggling to get my weight down was always a thing in my 40s and into my 50s. Then perimenopause, postmenopause, menopause was such a fun thing to go through. You aren't there yet, but your body changes. No matter what you do, your body changes. And then it's, you're in your 60s and your hair is graying or your wrinkles are starting to become more prevalent. And how do we my daughter-in-law is a plastic surgeon, and she's like, if we just could come up with a pill that holds on to youth. And I thought, yeah, because that's what everybody wants, and she sees that in her practice, is that they're just trying to stop the aging process, anti-aging, and when you think about an anti-aging product defies time. We are going to grow old. And I was in Peru, which you heard us talk about my trip to Machu Picchu, but we also explored little villages in Peru. And there was this beautiful, beautiful woman. I'll never forget her. She was blind, and she was the oldest in their community. So she was the most respected because they do respect their elders. And I asked her, I gave her coins and took her photograph because she was such a beautiful woman. She was 103. And the wrinkles were not wrinkles. They were deep lines through her face that almost painted a picture of her life. And they were the most beautiful part of her. They told a story of her. And I mean, her hair, everything about her was not what we consider what I'm striving for. Everything I'm trying to do to prevent wrinkles and gray hair and, all the things is opposite of what I saw was most beautiful in her. And I'm like, why am I resisting that? Why are we so afraid? What makes wrinkles bad or fine lines, something to deal with in the first place? Why is it so hard to just let aging be what it is and do so with grace? And I can only imagine, because I'm just starting that process. Well, I've always been aging, but starting to see that I can't control it, is that it's like, oh, now, first I have too much belly fat and my thighs are not what I want. And my arms aren't where I like them. And, my weight is too much. And there's the chin and now the droopy eyelids. And oh, great. Now I have to deal, with more of this aging. Like now my skin. It's just an incredible, a lot of pressure. And we talked about like, where does all that pressure come from? And I do think you're right, Kristen, like sometimes right now, I think social media isn't our friend in this department because it's so easy to compare ourselves to what other people look like. And I'll see someone wearing a cute outfit and I'll put it on and go, oh, looks better on the hanger, like I'm not built for that outfit. And sometimes that's true, it really is true, but often it's more me. But before social media, you referenced it, Kristen, there's magazines and commercials, the commercialism, the marketing of products to lose weight. And yet the more we try to lose weight and focus on it, the more our society overall becomes obese.
It's true.
Yeah. And cultural and social norms. And I think here in our country, and I'm sure there's other countries that are like this, but in our country, it's a big deal. It's like we are really focused on it.
But it's like they market, this is how you should look. This is perfectionism. But then they also market the giant cheeseburger meal of what you can get at this price. Like, right, Western plates are way bigger than European plates. So it's like this weird conflicting thing that they're marketing on both sides. And it's kind of like a mind fuck.
Yes, it is.
It really is. And I was thinking too, there used to be this show, I think it was called like Extreme Body Makeover, like Extreme Home Makeover.
Yes.
And these people would go through these intense surgeries to change things they don't like about themselves. Like there's two parts of my body that I really don't like about myself. I feel like I have like this little hanging chin area that bothers me, and my toes are long. And like I see girls with perfect length toes.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, I
thought about toes.
I had to get to a point where I was okay with sandals. Like I was very embarrassed about my feet. And then I had to, like, who cares? It's summer. It feels better to wear sandals.
Right.
It's like, it's not even it's beyond weight too. Like there's parts of people's bodies that they don't like. And I've never had a flat stomach. Like it's always been curved no matter what I do. And I had to give up on it.
Yeah. Well, and I like what you just said. Who cares? Really and truly, who cares? If we could live with a who cares attitude and at the same time balance that against I care. So I will love and take care of myself and honor my toes or my hair as it is. I straighten my hair and I've been playing with letting it just do its own thing lately. And I'm not liking it. It's different. And I'm like,
oh, I'm totally obsessed with finding the perfect way for my hair to be curly.
Yeah.
There's all these methods, and I have so much product on my counter.
Yeah. Just experimenting with it and the money that we spend instead of just, okay, well, I might have some frizzy hair on a
because when it really comes down to it, when you're talking to somebody that you really, really enjoy and you're like, you're not looking at the person.
Right.
It's like,
well, some people are,
and great experience.
Yeah. And some people do. And I think that that's the hidden energy of judgment that you feel, where some people are listening to you, but they keep looking at something about you. And then you start to get self-conscious.
Oh,
but
you
most
can
of us, but most of the time, your people don't do that, right? The people that you surround yourself with. And then personal experiences. Were you bullied? Were you labeled? Were you teased? Do you have any kind of trauma? Those kinds of things have a long lasting effect on body image, right? And so I remember a sad commentary on my first husband, but I was talking about how to give a compliment to someone. And I don't know why we were talking about it, but there's like appropriate compliments to give someone. You want it to be authentic, or it doesn't land right, just to say something if you don't mean it. And at the time, I didn't have the language for this, but I think it was the energy that came with it. And I'm like, so for example, like what would be a compliment? And he was sort of a sarcastic teaser. He teased a lot. And he's like, well, I could tell you for a fat girl, you don't sweat much. And he was semi-joking, but I had a complex body shaming issue. So it really impacted me. Like, what? What? Like, you just said that. And is that what you really see me as? Is you do see me as that? And so it validated what I saw in the mirror, right? And that was a teasing moment, but it was traumatic for me. For a fat girl, you don't sweat much. So those kind of negative comments can lead to our own poor self-image. And that leads to lower self-esteem and low confidence. And that impacts how you are at work and, social situations, in relational and intimacy, everything, if you're self-conscious of it.
Oh, yeah. I was thinking too, myself and my two sisters each went through a phase where we wore jeans even all summer.
Oh, wow.
Because Jenny and I were kind of talking about like really white skin. I was like, I'm neon white. Like I'm so fair. And my two other sisters, I think it was kind of weight consciousness too. Like, oh, it's better in jeans. And now that my one sister wears dresses now, but my other sister wears shorts. And it's like, oh, it's so much freer wearing shorts. Like we went through that pain of being so freaking hot in the summer with jeans on to make sure we looked a certain way.
Yeah.
Isn't that
the
ridiculous?
lengths that we would go. Yeah, it is. And yet it's real for so many of us. It's real.
Like I said, it took me forever to wear feel comfortable wearing sandals.
Yeah. And who would ever, for me, I'm sitting here going, who in the world would ever notice someone shouldn't wear sandals because they had toes that like.
But it had been noticed. One of my sister's boyfriends told me I had orangutan toes.
So there you go. That's one comment left you traumatized to not wear sandals again until you could decide not to care what others think. And that is that level of self-esteem and self-acceptance that says, I want to live without apology. I want to live true to who I am, authentic and expressive. And if you're not a person who wants to bear all, not running naked, but, if you want to let as much of your body show because you're comfortable doing that, great, just do it, But if you're somebody that's more modest by nature and you want to wear a little bit more conservative dress, do it. It's okay. As long as it's because that's what makes you feel good, not because that's how I hide. That's how I don't embarrass myself or offend someone else. Like me, it's always a forwarding apology to the world to say, I will wear long sleeves when it's hot so you don't have to see my arms. I will wear long sleeves to work out, and long sweatpants to work out at the gym so that other people don't have to see what I have to look at. Those are some of those very toxic inner thoughts. But if it's more comfortable to say, hey, wear a pair of workout shorts and a t-shirt, it doesn't matter if that's going to keep you cool and help you work out better, do it. Who cares, right? And it's a struggle. So
it's like once you get past, it's not a veil. I don't know why that word's coming to me, but once you can get past that and be in a room and be comfortable in your own skin, no matter what you look like, I don't know what I'm trying to say. I'm kind of getting lost, but.
Well, I think it's being accepting of yourself and then
once
loving
you let
yourself.
that go, can you truly experience your reality in that present moment? I guess is what I'm trying to say.
I think that you can.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I can really sit on my friend's back porch and really enjoy my conversation with her and enjoy the day without caring what I look like and wearing comfortable clothes.
Yes, I think that you can get in the moment eventually. To me, the trigger is a mirror or a camera. And as soon as those show up, the critic is right there in full force. If there's no mirror and there's no, like once I get out of my bathroom, I get dressed for the day and I walk out, I don't check again because it's usually painful. And I'm not thinking about it after that, unless a camera turns on.
One of the worst things to happen was during COVID is Zoom. I'm like constantly staring at myself.
Yeah, it's hard.
And I'm like critiquing myself. I'm like, is this what people see when I'm talking?
Right.
Because I also wonder in Zoom meetings, how many people are actually looking at the other people or they're looking at themselves?
I think they're probably, well, because it's me, I think they're like me. I'm like, I don't think that they're looking at anybody but themselves because we're constantly
like even now, Jenny and I can see ourselves. And I'm kind of looking at myself. I'm like, does my face look okay? Does my chin look weird?
Yeah. And when the camera turns on, it's a feedback loop that we are forced to look at. Or walking down the street and you see your reflection in the mirror and stop and go, oh my gosh, do I really look like that?
I was just doing that the other day at the mall because I don't have the best posture. And if I don't stand up straight, I feel like, I don't know, I look kind of weird. And I walk by the mirror, I'm like, ugh, is that what I look like when I'm not paying attention to my posture?
Yeah. And it's immediate judgment, right? We see that. We don't go, oh, there I am, look at me today, and,
like, oh, that'd be so awesome.
I think about like what my mom would say if she saw me. And my mom was always affirming. I don't remember her ever degrading my body or, saying you need to lose a few pounds. She was not that. And so I always think, what if I heard her voice instead of mine? I don't know where my voice originated. I really don't know why I have such disdain, but I wish I could find the encouragers in my head to show up and only see this body. And I remember reading or hearing a meditation and where we were in touch with our bodies and put our hand on our belly. And I'm like, yeah, cover it up, Jenny, right away. And it's like, and just how it helps us digest our food. And it's, this is the place that, has housed babies. If you've become a mother, it's the place that, is our whole digestive system, all of our organs, every organ housed in our belly, is part of what keeps us alive, and how to honor that and let it be loved, like every single thing.
I don't know if it was, I do Jenny's social media posts. I don't know if it was in one of your social media posts or your newsletters, but you said something like, or actually maybe it's in the thing that I'm about to read, about the thousands of miracles happening in your body all the time.
Yes, I think we're going to share that here in just a minute. And that's what it is. Our body is a miracle. It is the most brilliant thing in that it knows what we need. It knows how to protect us. It knows how to hold what we don't want to process. In my work as a coach, I really encourage people to process this stuff. For me, this self-coaching around body image is part of my healing journey, because I know those toxic thoughts that are with me every day take a toll on my body. And because that's energy, right? And my body has to hold those energies, those thought forms. And our whole body, it's here to support whatever it is that we bring to it. It will hold that for us. And it's up to us to keep the thoughts and our emotions and our beliefs and our programs, even ones we have to dismantle because they're no longer healthy, have to be addressed to allow us to live fully in physical form, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, psychologically. And I do all of those except physical. And it's just a disconnect for me. I disassociate from my body often. And so I've been doing meditations about thanking all the parts of me, of my physical body. Thank you. To my feet. As a death doula, one of the things we learned is a blessing of the body at the end of life and
Mm.
to go through a blessing ceremony. It's a ritual that you anoint your feet and thank them for, think about all the places your feet have taken you. Your legs, think about how much they have supported you. They hold you up, be thankful for them. Your knees, thank you for all the times you knelt down, and got back up. For your hips, for every part of your body, for your heart, for all the billions of beats that kept you through your lifetime, for your vocal cords, for all the loving things that you've said and all the ways that you've expressed yourself. And it just is this whole body blessing for the eyes, for the mouth, for the nose, for the ears, for the hair, everything. Thank you for going with me on this journey called life.
That is
and it's
absolutely beautiful.
It's the most beautiful. I've been privileged to be able to do a few of these blessing rituals, end of life rituals for the body, because we drop that, right? Like in my belief, we drop that physical existence, but our soul goes back into the ether, into the stars, into another dimension somewhere. And for me, it's heaven. And for someone else, it can be stardust. It's whatever you want to call it. But our soul does go on. But to honor the body that housed it. And so it's a real important, intimate relationship that you want to form with your body, and to learn to love it no matter what, and to appreciate it no matter what. And to me, if I could silence the critic, if I could clear the toxic thoughts and allow myself to step gracefully into my most authentic body and allow it to be where it is, I kind of think I might find that sweet spot. I kind of think that it would meet me there instead of trying to survive my criticism. And for me, it's protecting itself from me. It's like, I got to put more layers on because her thoughts are hurtful. And I kind of think that it's my toxicity in the thought process that is contributing to the way my body looks, which is what I'm judgment of. And so my curiosity right now is, if I not let myself go, but let myself express myself in the most natural way and do minimally what I need to do to take care of myself, and replace those toxic thoughts with affirming, loving messages that it's okay. It's not a bad hair day. It's a hair day, right? Like, I don't have to impose judgment on that. Or I run to the bank and remember, oh my gosh, I left the house and forgot to put my makeup on, and go, you know what? Like, it's okay. There was a challenge on Facebook, I don't know, years ago, and it was putting a picture of yourself on Facebook with no makeup and your hair, just like a natural, like bare face photo challenge or something. I would never participate in that. And at the same time, I had such admiration for the people who did, and I saw their beauty in every single one. And yet I couldn't do it. And I don't think I'm there yet, but I'm getting closer because I'm getting tired of this inner battle. And I think my surrender to whatever is next in my evolution of an aging process, to just embrace it with love and enjoy life. Because if you are asking yourself those questions, well, I'll do that when I lose weight, or I don't want a beach vacation because you have to show skin, or I don't want to do videos for social media because it's a bad hair day, or I'm not having a self-confident day. So all those things interfere with whether or not I'm worthy to be on camera. And then I don't share my message. I don't share what I'm thinking and feeling and connect to the people that I want to connect to. So if your view of yourself is so conditional that it holds you back and helps you hide, go address that. Start working on those inner thoughts. Get some support. Join a support group. Get therapy. Get coaching. Or just start changing the dialogue within. Start somewhere to give yourself positive, affirming messages about your body. So, Kristen, let's wrap up. You have something beautiful to share, and it was perfect. You found that right as we were thinking about this topic. And so it was perfect. We'll go ahead and end. And then we will be in the blessing room and discussing some more parts of the body image issues and taking this conversation a little bit deeper, and some goodies in there for you as well. So if you haven't joined us yet in the blessing room, please go over to Patreon. The link is in the show notes and join us there. But let's wrap up today with this little message that Kristen's going to share.
Okay, this is from Sarah Love from I Stand for Love. This is just a little promotion because I love her, no pun intended. But she puts out a calendar every year, and my friend has gifted me with it that has little sayings on each of the days. And in the last 2 or 3 years, she complemented it with an email that will give you more information on the statement on the calendar. And it just brightens my day every time I just read them. So this was from June 20th, and she titled it, Find Revelation in Your Body. So just that statement alone hit me. And I was like, oh my gosh, what is she going to say? I love this so much. And Jenny and I are about to talk about this. So it says, your body has so much wisdom to offer. It's got incredible intelligence, and it's constantly communicating. It's quite a miraculous thing, actually. There are approximately 10,000 miracles happening in your body at this very moment. What if today was the day you felt more pleasure in your breath than you ever noticed before? What if you experience your body as the most beautiful place you could ever live? What if? You are one of a kind throughout all time, irreplaceable in every way. Revel in the wonder of you today. It just gave me the goosebumps, like in the wonder of you.
Isn't that beautiful? And I think about often what that made me think is, I think about where do we live? And I think of it geographically. And where do I live? I think about my house. And I rarely would say in this body. I live in this body. That is my home as a human, first and foremost, right? Before I have a house or live in North Carolina or wherever, it's our home. And to think of it as a beautiful home and live in the wonder of that is a way that I feel I can begin my healing journey of this toxic relationship I have to my physical appearance. So I hope this has been enlightening for all of you listening. Thank you for being here. We really, really appreciate our listeners. And if you know of someone who struggles with this, please share this podcast with them and have a supportive, healthy dialogue. I think that, we need to start giving each other room to carry both the shame and the healing process in a way that we can be witnessed as well. I think having someone witness our vulnerability and our pain and share that with love is the most healing experience in the whole world, no matter what your emotional struggle is. Having someone there to witness it and do so with love, it amplifies the healing process. So be that for yourself and be that for each other, especially us as women. But it pertains to men too, and our children, and we're going to talk about this in the blessing room, but how has that toxicity in me impacted others around me? So we're going to go into that discussion next. So join us over on Patreon in the blessing room, and we'll continue this discussion there. In the meantime, look in the mirror, smile, say, I love you, and mean it. Look at your body with love. Take care. Thank you so much for being here with me today. I hope you found a spark of wisdom to carry with you, and maybe even a deeper invitation to heal and grow and transform through your own beautiful story. Or maybe this episode made you think of someone who could use encouragement. And if so, I hope you will share it with them. If you'd like to learn more about working with me or attending one of my healing retreats, coaching programs, and other offerings, you can visit my website at jennyaiello.com or email me directly at jenny@jaiello.com. You'll find all the links in the show notes. If today's episode touched you, it would mean the world if you would leave a review or share it with someone who might need it, or just reach out and let me know how it landed for you. I'd love to hear from you. I'm building something special here. Real stories, real life, real connection. One episode, one heart, and one story at a time. As always, with love. Oh, and this is the legal message, but mostly a message from my heart, and I just need to share this with you right now. Please know this podcast is offered solely for educational and entertainment purposes. If you find yourself triggered due to anything that was shared in this podcast, please seek professional help. This podcast is not intended to be a substitute for mental health services. While I am a professional life coach, I am not a psychotherapist, nor am I a mental health clinician. So if you are struggling emotionally, please seek help, because you matter, you are important, and most of all, you are worthy of doing this work, the work that leads you to a better and healthier place. Okay? All right. Thank you. And please always make enough time to take care of yourself, and do so with love.